Hello. Today is my baby girl's first birthday. So happy birthday to my daughter. But also, today is day 189 of our 365-day Bible read. Today, from the Old Testament, we're going to be reading Job chapters 29 and 30, and then we'll do the Bible study for Job chapters 29 and 30. And then we're going to go to the New Testament and read the Acts chapter, what are we doing? Acts chapter 12, and then we'll do the Bible study for Acts chapter 12 from the New Testament. So we're going to get started. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, so yep, Job chapter 29 and 30, and then the Bible study, and then Acts chapter 12, and then the Bible study for Acts chapter 12. Okay, so I'm gonna get started now because it's late and I'm coming on here really late. Okay, Job chapter 29. Job's summary defense. And Job again took up his discourse and said, "Oh, that I were as in the months of old, as in the days when God watched over me, when his lamp shone upon my head, and by his light I walked through darkness, as I was in my prime, when the friendship of God was upon my tent, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were all around me, when my steps were washed with butter, and the rock poured out for me streams of oil, when I went out to the gate of the city, when I prepared my seat in the square, the young men saw me and withdrew, and the aged rose and stood. The princes refrained from talking and laid their hand on their mouth. The voice of the nobles was hushed, and their tongue stuck to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard it, it called me blessed. And when the eye saw, it approved, because I delivered the poor who cried for help, and the fatherless who had none to help him. The blessing of him who was about to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My justice was like a robe and a turban. I was eyes to the blind and feet to the lame. I was a father to the needy, and I searched out the cause of him whom I did not know. I broke the fangs of the unrighteous and made him drop his prey from his teeth. Then I thought, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days as the sand. My roots spread out to the waters, with the dew all night on my branches. My glory fresh with me, and my bow ever new in my hand. Men listened to me and waited, and kept silence for my counsel. After I spoke, they did not speak again, and my word dropped upon them. They waited for me as for the rain, and they opened their mouths as for the spring rain. I smiled on them when they had no confidence, and the light of my face they did not cast down. I chose their way and sat as chief, and I lived like a king among his troops, like one who comforts mourners. All right, so that was Job chapter 29. We're now going to do the Bible study for Job chapter 29. Job chapter 29. Job chapter 29 Bible study. What days did Job long for? Job longed for his past days when God used to watch over him. What were some of Job's acts of righteousness? Job helped the poor, the needy, those who were perishing, the widow, the blind, and the lame. He would help the victim of the wicked. How was Job perceived as a former chief or leader? Job was well respected by both young and old. People listened to his advice and eagerly sought his words. All right, that was Job chapter 29 Bible study. We're now going to read Job chapter 30 and then do the Bible study for it. A thought popped in my head. Something, I'll talk about it at the end of this. Okay, Job chapter 30. But now they laugh at me, men who are younger than I, whose fathers I would have disdained, to set with the dogs of my flock. What could I gain from the strength of their hands? Men whose vigor is gone. Through want and hard hunger, they gnaw the dry ground by night and waste and desolation. They pick they pick saltwort and the leaves of bushes and the roots of the broom tree for their food. They are driven out from human company. They shout after them as after a thief. In the gullies of the torrents they must dwell, in holes of the earth and of the rocks. Among the bushes they bray, under the nettles they huddle together. A senseless, a nameless brood, they have been whipped out of the land. And now I have become their song. I am a byword to them. They abhor me. They keep aloof from me. They do not hesitate to spit at the sight of me. Because God has loosed my cord and humbled me, they have cast off restraint in my presence. On my right hand the rabble rise. They push away my feet. They cast up against me their ways of destruction. They break up my path. They promote my calamity. They need no one to help them. As through a wide breach they come. Amid the crash they roll on. Terrors are turned upon me. My honor is pursued as by the wind, and my prosperity has passed away like a cloud. And now my soul is poured out within me. Days of affliction have taken hold of me. The night racks my bones, and the pain that gnaws me takes no rest. With great force my garment is disfigured. It binds me about like the collar of my tunic. God has cast me into the mirror, and I have become like dust and ashes. I cry to you for help, and you do not answer me. I stand and you only look at me. You have turned cruel to me. With the might of your hand you persecute me. You lift me up on the wind. You make me ride on it, and you toss me about in the roar of the storm. For I know that you will bring me to death and to the house appointed for all living. Yet does not one in a heap of ruin stretch out his hand, and in his disaster cry for help? Did not I weep for him whose day was hard? Was not my soul grieved for the needy? But when I hoped for good, evil came, and when I waited for light, darkness came. My inward parts are in turmoil and never still. Days of affliction come to meet me. I go about darkened, but not by the sun. I stand up in the assembly and cry for help. I am a brother of jackals and a companion of ostriches. My skin turns black and falls from me, and my bones burn with heat. My lyre is turned to mourning, and my pipe to the voice of those who weep. All right, so that was Job chapter 30. We're now going to do the Bible study for Job chapter 30. Job chapter 30 Bible study. How did the people regard Job now? How did the people regard Job now? The people mocked Job and even taunted him. Who ridiculed Job now? Job was now ridiculed by the vilest and most foolish of men he and others totally disdained. What did Job receive when expecting light and goodness from God? Job received the opposite of what he expected. He received darkness instead of light and evil instead of good. All right, that was Job chapter 30. And that was Job chapter 30 Bible study. And we're now going to the New Testament. Excuse me. And we're going to read Acts chapter 12. And then we're going to do the Bible study for Acts chapter 12. Okay, Acts chapter 12. New Testament now. James killed and Peter imprisoned. About that time, Herod the king laid violent hands on some who belonged to the church. He killed James, the brother of John, with the sword, and when he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded to arrest Peter also. This was during the days of unleavened bread. And when he had seized him, he put him in prison, delivering him over to 4 squads of soldiers to guard him, intending after the Passover to bring him out to the people. So Peter was kept in prison, but earnest prayer for him was made by God. So Peter was kept in prison, but earnest prayer for him was made to God by the church. Peter rescued. Now, when Herod was about to bring him out on that very night, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains, and sentries before the door were guarding the prison. And behold, an angel of the Lord stood next to him, and a light shone in the cell. He struck Peter on the side and woke him, saying, "Get up quickly." And the chains fell off his hands. And the angel said to him, "Dress yourself and put on your sandals." And he did so. And he said to him, Wrap your cloak around you and follow me." And he went out and followed him. He did not know that what was being done by the angel was real, but thought he was seeing a vision. When they had passed the first and the second guard, they came to the iron gate leading into the city. It opened for them of its own accord, and they went out and one street, went along one street, and immediately the angel left him. When Peter came to himself, he said, "Now I am sure that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from the hand of Herod and from all that the Jewish people were expecting." When he realized this, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose other name was Mark. where many were gathered together and were praying. And when he knocked at the door of the gateway, a servant girl named Rhoda came to answer. Recognizing Peter's voice in her joy, she did not open the gate, but ran in and reported that Peter was standing at the gate. They said to her, "You are out of your mind." But she kept insisting that it was so, and they kept saying, "It is his angel." But Peter continued knocking, and when they opened, they saw him and were amazed. But motioning to them with his hand to be silent, he described to them how the Lord had brought him out of the prison, and he said, "Tell these things to James and to the brothers." Then he departed and went to another place. Now, when day came, there was no little disturbance among the soldiers over what had become of Peter. And after Herod searched for him and did not find him, he examined the sentries and ordered that they should be put to death. Then he went down from Judea to Caesarea, and spent time there. The death of Herod. Now, Herod was angry with the people of Tyre and Sidon, and they came to him with one accord, and having persuaded Blastus, the king's chamberlain, they asked for peace, because their country depended on the king's country for food. On an appointed day, Herod put on his royal robes, took his seat upon the throne, and delivered an oration to them. And the people were shouting, "The voice of a God, and not of a man." Immediately, an angel of the Lord struck him down, because he did not give God the glory, and he was eaten by worms and breathed his last. But the word of God increased and multiplied. And Barnabas and Saul returned from Jerusalem when they had completed their service, bringing with them John, whose other name was Mark. All right, so that was Acts chapter 12. We're now going to do the Bible study for Acts chapter 12. Okay, Acts chapter 12 Bible study. What did Herod do to the church? Herod harassed the church. What apostle did Herod kill? Herod killed James, the brother of John, the sons of Zebedee. Who did Herod next seize to kill? Herod next seized Peter to kill him. What happened to this person? Peter was set free from the prison by an angel. Why was Herod struck down after giving his speech? Herod was struck down because, being a Jew, he glorified himself as a god instead of fearing the only God and giving him the glory. All right, so that was the Bible study for Acts chapter 12. So, a thought that had came to me just while I was reading today. I haven't thought about this at all. But I was thinking, instead of finishing the Bible in 365 days, finishing earlier than 365 days. Like, I don't know. I was thinking like trying to finish reading the entire Bible by the end of this year. Or like even maybe before I give birth. I just don't know how it's going to be after I give birth, and I'll have my third, this will be my third baby. So I'll have three under three, three babies, all under 3 years old, 1 2 years old. Really, yeah, three babies under three. But one is 2, will be 3 next year in June. And then one just turned 1 years old today. And then the new baby will be here probably the first, well, not probably. She'll be here the last week of November or the first week of December for sure. The first week of December. But I don't think she's going to come the last week of November. She'll be here the first week of December. But, so I was thinking, what if I even finish the Bible before I give birth? Like before that first week of December. I don't know if it's possible. Well, all things are possible with God, but I don't know if I'm gonna follow through with that. But it's a thought that just came over me like right now while I was reading. I haven't even like thought about this any other day or at any other time. So I'm not sure. I'll think about it some more, pray on it, and yeah. So right now we'll still be finishing the Bible in 365 days, but possibly we'll have the whole thing finished before the first week of December, or maybe like by the last before the end of the year. But I'm thinking like trying to get it done um, before I give birth, because yeah. I don't know, it just may be like, just getting into a routine right after giving birth and everything, like getting into your routine and just being like so exhausted afterwards. And then, just having a third baby, just adding, another child, it'll just be, I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know how it's going to be. So I just don't know. Like, I've been able to do these lives like every day um, right now, and I just don't know like how things will be. So, yeah, that's why I'm like, what if I finished it before I even give birth? Excuse me. So that's something I'm really thinking about. So I'm gonna pray on it. And yeah, but for right now, we'll still be finishing the Bible in 365 days, but possibly before, depending on, you know, what happens after I pray on this. So yes, but anyways, so that's just my thought. I wanted to talk about that. But yeah, so a quick recap of what we did today. From the Old Testament, we read Job chapters 29 and 30, and then did the Bible study for Job chapters 29 and 30. And then we went to the New Testament and we read Acts chapter 12, and then did the Bible study for Acts chapter 12. And that is all for tonight. I love you guys. God loves you. You are valuable. You are worthy. You're beautiful. You are enough. You matter. You are important. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 190. Night, night.